in a vacuum, Pendulum Evolution is not only not a bad set, it's actually a good set and possibly even a great set. Now, I have a lot to talk about in this video because this is sort of a point that not a lot of people agree with, but I want to precursor this by starting out by saying that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are never satisfied. Now, there's two types of sets in this game, and we actually had a perfect example of this happening in 2015, where we got both really close to each other, and that made me realize that people will never be happy with Yu-Gi-Oh! Sets. What I'm talking about is actually Secrets of Eternity and Secret Forces, two sets that were released one after another and were both sides of the spectrum, and people hated them both. So Secrets of Eternity was a set that didn't have a lot of high-valued cards. It basically only had Cliffort Monolith and Infernoid Hermetic, and that was it. There weren't a lot of game-breaking cards in that set. They helped some older strategies, but there wasn't like a ton in there that was valued. There was no single card that you could pull that would actually be more expensive than the box itself, and people hated it. People said buying boxes was not worth it. People never bought boxes or packs. The set basically tanked. Now, the opposite end of that was Secret Forces, released not so long after, where there were several high-value cards, namely Narcoza Chishla, Narcoza Brionac, and Narcoza Valkyris. Now, Valkyris and Brionac were both short-printed, but if you pulled them, you instantly gained back not only the entire box price, but double the box price, depending on how much the box was selling for, and people hated that because you could buy a box and not pull any of these cards, or only pull Trishula and not Velk and Brio, and then you wouldn't plus. Regardless, though, this was a time when two sets came out that were both the complete opposite of each other, one with a bunch of decent, low-valued cards, and one with some really powerful, high-valued cards that weren't printed a lot, and people didn't like either of them. People want a set that doesn't exist. They want a set that every single time they buy a box, they make their money back. Well, let me tell you, that's not real. And let's just get that straight right now. There isn't a set where every single person can make their money back on every single box. It's impossible, because if everyone is pulling great cards, they go down in value. So let's talk about Pendulum Evolution, a set people are really angry about. Why are they angry about it? Well, first of all, there's no dollar value cards in here. Everything, and by that I mean there's no high value cards, sorry, not dollar value cards. There are no cards that are like worth even more than $5. Everything right now, the highest valued card is $2, and people don't like that. People also don't like that this was supposed to be a structure deck and now is being printed as a box, because people were then complaining that you have to buy a box to pull all the cards. Now, let's address both of these right away. First of all, I think this is actually better as a box than it is a structure deck. Now, I have a couple different ways to support this. First of all, if this was a structure deck, you need to buy 3 of it. Well, we don't know everything that was going to be in it as far as the TCG transfer, because sometimes cards change. So if, just in case all the magicians weren't in there, like Skullcrobat and Pendulum Call and stuff, you would have to then buy those cards, which actually jumped in price after the recent Forbidden Limited list. Now, I mention this because in the box, as super rares, are all the Pendulum Magician cards you actually need to build this deck. I think the only thing that doesn't come in it is Duelist Alliance, because that's really recent, but generally speaking, all the old Pendulum stuff is in here. And that's great, because it means that if you buy a box of this, you pull every card you need. Now, because, so how the packs are laid out, if you don't know, is that you pull 2 ultra rares and 3 super rares. Now, the super rares in the set are all reprints of Pendulum cards, basically, or Pendulum-related cards. The ultra rares are all the new cards. There are no short prints in this set. Here's a picture of a box that someone opened very early on and realized that they would basically pull a playset of every single card they needed. This is a good thing. This means that if you buy a box for $60, and by the way, boxes are not $60 anymore. You can definitely pick them up for like $40. If you buy a box, even for $60 though, you will pull every single ultra rare you need in a playset. Now, I'm still suggesting you buy singles because it's going to be cheaper that way. But generally speaking, even if you were a casual player that didn't have access to eBay or TCG Player and you had to buy a box, you could theoretically pull every single card you need to build the deck in the box. That's value, and you can't argue that. That is perfect value. I know it's $30 more expensive than a structure deck playset, but in reality, It's really not $60. It's more like $40, and you're getting so much more cards out of it. And that sort of gets to the second point, which is that in a vacuum, this set was amazing at reprinting cards. We haven't had a set in so long that reprints this many good cards. I just can't even remember the last time it happened because, okay, so we'll look at this page. This is all like the Magician stuff that got reprinted, and these are all super rare reprints. It's not just reprinting them. So you get all of the old Magicians. Those are all super rares. You get Skull Crobats. You don't have to pay for the OTS pack one. You get, there's an Archfiend Eccentric in there. There's Rescue Hamster. There's Magical Abductor. There's Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. These are all cards that you now don't have to pick up if you buy the box, because you'll pull so many of these cards. Even outside of Magicians, though, we can look at, here's some other reprints that they had. All the Zephyras, there they are. They're all super rares. Summoner's Art, super rare reprint. Dragon's Mirror, super rare reprint. Odd Eyes Fusion, super rare reprint. It's like Pendulum Call, obviously, as well. And these are all cards that you would have had to pick up otherwise. Or, I mean, the Zephyr stuff was all rising in prices. I mean, I'm pretty sure John made several market watches saying the Zephyrs were all getting expensive, and there they all are. I mean, hell, if we go to the next page, even Oracle Zephyra was reprinted, and that card was creeping up to like $5, $10. And not only this, but on this last page, you have some of the best reprints in the entire set. You have 4 different Metal Foes cards, or 5 different Metal Foes cards for counting the Trap card, and you have Cliffort Monolith. It's like, these were all cards that would have taken like years to get in the OTS packs. I don't know what else they would have put Cliffort Monolith in. I don't know. They're not going to put more than like 1 or 2 Metal Foes in a single OTS pack. So there's no way in hell that you ever would have gotten all these Metal Foe cards. It would have just taken forever. It would have been in a case very similar to like Inzectors, where they got Centipede reprinted as a super rare, but then we never got Ladybug or Dragonfly printed as super rares, because by the time that the Astro Packs had rolled out, they were just irrelevant, so there was no point at reprinting it as super rares anymore. But Konami said, you know what, we're going to make this go out with a bang. We're just going to put all these Pendulum cards into this set. We know Link Summoning's coming out soon, but we're just going to put them all in one set as reprints. There's not going to be any short prints, no funny business. You can buy one box and get playsets of every single card in the set. When else has that been true, that you can buy one box and get playsets of every card in the set? And this isn't a mistake. By putting 2 Ultra Rares in the packs, by making the set relatively small, Konami knew what they were doing. They knew that they were making a set where you could get everything you needed for $60. That is fucking value. You might be mad that it's not a structure deck, and you might be mad that Link Summoning has come out, and this is maybe too little too late. But value-wise, there's no other box that gets you this kind of value that I can think of. It's just, you don't have to worry about, am I gonna pull the money card or not? If you want every card in the set, buy a box. There you go, every single card in the set. Do whatever you want with them. That's good. That makes this a good set in a vacuum. Outside of the vacuum, though, I have to acknowledge that the set is probably too little too late. While the reprints themselves are fantastic, and I do think it's a really good value, Link Summoning is coming out, and a lot of these cards will be completely irrelevant when that happens. Now, I don't think Magicians themselves will be, useless when Link Summoning comes out. I think of all the Pendulum archetypes, are actually the most likely, besides maybe Dynamist, to be still competitive. So, at that point, it's not, terrible, but I don't think Metal Foes is going to be very relevant. I don't think Clifforts or anything that's playing Monolith is going to be very relevant. I don't really think Zephyros are going to be very relevant. So all those cards, while it is nice to have them as super rares, especially if you're planning on playing these cards at a regional qualifier during the WCQ or at the WCQ itself, although I don't think realistically, I don't think you're going to play Zephyrs at the WCQ. Maybe you are. I'm not, but maybe you are. So I don't think you're going to play at the WCQ, but if you were, or if you're entering any side events with them, it is cool to have all these cards in super rares, because like I said, we have no idea how long it would have taken these cards to get super rares. Realistically, they never would have came in super rares and anything else. And even if we're talking about the ultra rares in the set that were all from the structure deck, those all would have been most of them would have been commons without this pack. And I think that's another point. I mean, is it worth spending $30 more? I mean, even just if we're looking at the theoretical situation where if you buy 3 structure decks, you get everything, which you wouldn't because there's so many other reprints in the set. Well, let's say if you buy 3 structure decks, you get everything, but only a couple ultra rares and a couple super rares. Or you spend $60, and like I said, it's really not $60, but if you spend $60, you get everything in max rarity. Most people are going to be fine paying the extra money to get every card in the deck holographic. Like that's so cool. Are you kidding me? Like if dinosaurs came in a structure deck or in a box like this with all these reprints and every card in dinosaurs was hollow, do you think I would mind paying $30 more for them? Absolutely not. No way. That would be so cool to have every card in the deck hollow. Like maybe it's different because like the deck's not just dying when Link Summoning comes out, but I still think that this is a good pack in a vacuum. And I think sets like this, if this was anything but Pendulums and it was just like a reprint set, which we're sort of getting right before Nats, or right the Friday of actually, with the Minerva set. If this was anything but Pendulums, I think people would be freaking out about how good this set is. Almost every card in it has some sort of value in terms of like playing it in a deck. There's a ton of reprints that we would have never gotten in super rare form, and there's no short prints. You can buy a box and get everything you need. But I think people are looking at it way too short-sighted. I think they're mad that it wasn't a structure deck. I think they're mad that Pendulums are being ruined with Link Summoning. But I want more sets like this, and I think a set like this, if we don't give it good feedback, and if we realize that, hey, maybe it actually is pretty good, so that Konami actually makes more sets like this where you don't get screwed by having to buy like 1,000,000 packs to pull the high rarity cards, I think hopefully Konami notices that this actually was good set design. Can you just like stop complaining about sets that have good design? Because this one does have good design, and hopefully after this video you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, please let me know in the comments. I'm sure you already typed that in the comments. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.